Jagex showed us every single relic passive tier and we now know what they do. So we're gonna go through all of these and explain the useful ones. And I'm also gonna explain why I think this is a bit disappointing. And there's some things that I would have done differently if I was in Jagex's shoes. But we'll get to that in a bit. First of all, we have a couple really easy ones in tier 1. We have the 4 times XP multiplier. Self-explanatory, you get 4 times the XP. Your farming crops will grow 5 times faster, which means that you can do herb runs every 20 minutes. And because you have infinite run energy, you can do them efficiently. Yay! God, I really hope that the farming relic isn't in the same tier in another relic that I really want to take. Another tier 1 buff that you get is that your hit chance is increased by 20%. And this is actually super nice because early game combat can be dropped down by a hit chance. This just gives you like a 20% damage boost out of the cap. It doesn't scale into the late game, but you get it for the early combat you might do. And also in tier 1, you get the archaeology shop fully available, which just means that there's less grinding on mysteries and collections and whatever, because there's like a tier list system that you go up and you have to hand in a certain amount of artifacts to get a certain amount of shops and blah blah blah. And this will just remove excess grinding from archaeology that the multiplier would introduce. I mean, there's already excess grinding in the main game, but this just makes archaeology a lot nicer. Nothing that huge, but it's a nice quality of life thing that is expected. And soul increased from the necromancy rituals are increased by 400%. When I think they removed the soul requirements from anything in the game. So I don't exactly understand what this is going to accomplish. I thought there already was a passive where this whole system goes away. Like, I guess if you don't pick necro, you would need this. This is just kind of weird. And if you don't pick necro, you still want the necromancy nexus so you can install abilities if you're like an in-game PVMer, but most people won't. Most people probably don't need this. And also you can use darkness, which is basically a 20% dodge chance on your character, so it's a really good thing to have. So maybe it's still worth going for, but this is like a weird one. I don't exactly understand where this is coming from or why is it needed. Okay, so I googled this and the necromancy relic gives you instantly all the souls, so this is not needed at all if you have if you're going to take the necromancy relic. But if you're not taking the necromancy relic, this maybe speeds up the nexus grind. I'm not exactly sure, I don't remember what goes into it, but hitting the nexus is still a great goal for every account, and doing that will help your progress in the leagues because 20% damage reduction is kind of insane. It doesn't work everywhere. There's things like Solax auto attacks if you're basing ignore darkness, but in a lot of the places or most of the places in the game this will work, and it's a huge damage reduction tool. Let's move on to the tier 2 relic passives. At tier 2 your XP multiplier goes to 6, so 6 times the multiplier instead of 4, and you get increased taller by 4 times. And taller is a minigame resource you can get by playing any minigame, and you can use it at all different minigames. And there's also ring imbues tied to it, but you really don't want to use these to the ring imbues because they're kind of useless. There's better rings you can get. I know if you're coming from old school, you want to imbue your Berserker's ring, but don't do it. Don't. And if for some reason you want to spend your time in the leagues doing minigames, I would recommend you get the factory outfit because it makes Herblore a lot easier, unless there's a Herblore relic you're going. And in tier 2, we finally get our first drop chance increase, going to double drop rate on rare items. And what are considered rare items? We have no idea, but assuming from old school, it's anything with a low drop chance. And we also get a Slayer buff. When you pick a Slayer task, you can choose between 2 tasks. And this is actually in the game already. You can get these tickets by doing a certain minigame. So it's a system they implemented that's existing in the game already, the VIP Slayer tokens. And another existing Slayer buff from the Master Slayer cape that they added is that you can choose the size of your task. So you can pick the lowest or the highest amount. So if you have a fast stack for points, you want to do the lowest amounts. And if you want to farm XP, you want to get the highest amounts. So these are just nice Slayer quality of life upgrades. And this makes me think that there isn't gonna be any Slayer relics in this league because, like, you already have the Slayer teleport and you have these passives. Like, it would seem kind of crazy to also add a Slayer relic. You also get 5 times the Slayer points and Reaper points when completing tasks. And this is a great passive. I think this is one of the most important passives in the league. Slayer points themselves are really nice, but most of their benefits are getting like moved on to other things, so you don't really need them. But the Reaper points are what are key here. Let me explain. The Reaper points are the only source for Hydrix's, the best gem in the game that makes the best amulet. And you can make a Amulet of Souls, which are the two almost best amulets in the game. But on top of that, you can use another gem, a third gem, to combine these two into the Essence of Finality, which is the best amulet in the game. And you can store special attacks inside this amulet. And the only way to obtain this is by getting 900 Reaper points. And that's a crazy amount for a time-gated game mode. And even in normal rules game, it's really annoying if you're starting from scratch. Even the best Reaper tasks of the highest bosses give like 38 Reaper points. And this is a daily activity, kind of. So in a day, the maximum amount of points you can get 38. So if there was no boost to this, and no way to obtain more of these, which there are, I'll explain in a bit, then you would be in the league like 25 days farming for a single Essence of Finality, which would be crazy. But with the 5 times multiplayer, we can get this down to like 5 days, which isn't that bad. And if you want more of these points, you can actually spend your Slayer points and use them to buy more Reaper tasks. So when you're done with your daily Reaper task, which is free, then you can spend 250 Slayer points to buy another one. So this way you can actually farm them if you want multiple EOS fast. So the 5 times Reaper points, really, really good. Especially for like Melee, where you can only need 1 EOF, or Mage, where you only need 1 EOF, it's really nice. Even Necro needs 1 EOF, so basically only Mage need multiple. Yeah. Yay, go range. Okay, we're done with tier 2. Let's move on to the tier 3 ones. And in here, the XP multiplier stays the same, so we're still at 6 times multiplier. But you get a nice boost in all your movement ability cooldowns being reduced to 4.8 seconds. And you also get the dive ability, which is basically like a point and click teleport, is how you can think about it. It just takes you to a place within 9 tiles. This combined with Surge will allow for some really nice movement throughout the map. And tier 4 is kind of the last early game one, I think, or a day 1 thing, because tier 4 is what, 2000 points, I think? And it shouldn't be too hard to get 2000 points day 1. But these passives are like the first ones, or these 4 tiers of passives are the first one you're relying for your early game grinds. So what do we get here? Well, I'm glad to see that the XP multiplier is going up to 8 times. So this will mean faster skilling grinds. And you will also get a 4 times multiplier on your drop rate. So now you can actually start farming bosses if you want. And you also get every single tool belt item unlocked. And this might look really, really simple at surface level, but I think this is a huge, huge passive upgrade. Like, the tool belt has a lot of tools that normally people grind for to make their lives easier. Like, in RuneScape 3, there's so many good tools here, and I'm just gonna list the most important ones that I think are the best ones for your quality of life things. The Bone Crusher will automatically crush bones that you drop on the ground while doing Slayer or something like that, and this can be combined with the Split Dragon Tooth Necklace or the Split Necklace. There's 3 of them, I'll put them on screen, and using one of these in combination with the Bone Crusher means that you will have infinite prayer while training Slayer. But unfortunately, protection prayers aren't 100% effective like in old school, so this doesn't mean full AFK prayer. Well, in some cases it does, where you can heal off other sources or use Soul Split to heal, but in most cases you will still have to pay attention in the early game. You also get the CD side, which destroys seeds that you choose, and this can be used to gain farming XP really well at certain places. You can also get a Charming Imp that automatically picks up your summoning charms that you drop on the ground, and this is really helpful when training summoning, obviously. And then there's the herbicide, which destroys herbs that go on the ground, and you can use this to destroy all the herbs you don't need. Or it can also be upgraded from the manor farm to be made where it picks up the herbs, so you can just fully AFK. And the same thing can be said with the seedicide. And actually even the Bone Crusher can be upgraded to pick up the bones, but this upgrade is a bit more complicated than the seedicide and the herbicide, I think. It also gives you the Crabbling Hook that you normally would have to make, and this just allows you to use some agility shortcuts. And the steel key ring that stores all the keys in the game to you, so you don't have to do one small favor for this. Also, there's a plethora of archaeology mystery things that get put into your tool belt, but I'm not exactly sure how this is gonna function, or is it gonna give you any extra benefits rather than just putting it there yourself. But I guess it saves you from restoring an artifact, but you would be doing that anyway when you're training archaeology, so there could be like some insane strategies with this that I'm overlooking, like getting to places you shouldn't be, because it kind of skips archaeology levels that you would normally have to have. So I'm not exactly sure what the implications of this are. There could be interesting tech, but honestly, I'm not that into skilling that I could tell you. And you also get the Gate of Eliteness open, which is a skilling boss that's meant for like, I don't know, mid to late game players normally. It's really weird game design. I've talked about this before, but scaling bots are way too late in RuneScape 3, but I guess you can go do it now. It might be really good for training. I have no idea. You'll need to look into this, but it has some nice rewards for like AFK skilling later, so not too bad. Also, it gives you AFK crafting XP if you're after that, so that's pretty good. And don't worry when it says soul searching quest needs to be completed. This is that one quest after the next Nancy tutorial, when normally you would have to do like an entire quest line to access this skilling mini boss. So yeah, now it's basically free. And at tier 5, we finally get to the really good stuff. First of all, your XP stays at 8 times, so no change there, but the other benefits are massive. You get 3 ancient curses unlocked. Normally you would have to do an entire quest line with this, but now you get it for free, and this means that you get access to Soul Split and the best damaging prayers in the game. There is normal prayers that can compete with this, with melee specifically, and kind of with mage, but these are still really good prayers that you should unlock, and they are easier to play with than the normal prayer book because of Soul Split. You also get to choose your Reaper task, so basically just whatever boss you're doing that day, pick a Reaper there and you will auto-complete it. So you will get 3 Hydrixes basically. And here you get Warcat and a Muscut to be available without the quest requirements. And especially a Muscut is a great new fight, and I feel like everyone should go and do it. It's gonna be super fun in leagues. Warcat is kind of the black sheep in RuneScape though. Well, somebody probably likes it, but it's like a damage phase. Maybe it's fun in leagues, but normal people or like casual players tend to hate it. And getting a musket open without the quest requirements is absolutely huge, because you don't have to do no evil, the worst quest in gaming, in anything. I can't think of a single worst quest in any game I've ever played than do no evil. It is the single most deprecating experience of my life, and I am beyond elated that I don't have to go through that in leagues. And this also gives you easier access to swapping the spellbooks and prayers, which is a nice quality of life upgrade. Nothing crazy, but at least it's like chill. In tier 6, you get up to 12 times the XP multiplier, so your XP will be going absolutely nuts. But in tier 6, you also get the Ancient Magic Spellbook unlocked. Why is it this late? Like, Mage is getting super nerfed by this system. How many points do you need for tier 6? I think it's a lot. You need 17,000 points to get your magic, like, basic magic rotation abilities. That is insane. Like, magic is gonna be so much worse because of this. Like, the early game magic is gonna suffer so much, because a lot of the power that magic has come from these ancient spells. And especially compared to, like, necro and melee. Necro already is super overpowered early game, and melee is, like, crazy in this league because of all the buffs it's getting. That, like, why is magic and range like completely left in the dust? I thought magic was gonna be like a nice thing. You have a solid early game and you also have a good late game, and you might be able to have a lot of fun. But this ancient magic spellbook being this late makes magic so much worse than it could be, because you really want to do and go get this, so you might have to actually go and do the fucking quest line. I feel like I need to hammer in this point. The ancient magic spellbook, the normal ancient magic spellbook that you know from old school, is like the Ice Barrage and whatever. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the new Sentient spells. I'm primarily talking about Smoke Cloud, which gives magic a 15% crit damage increase. Obviously, the relic kinda comes in and helps this a bit. You don't need that much, but it also gives the same increase with 40% effectiveness to other styles. So with other styles, this is a 6% increase. So nothing huge, but it's a nice buff for any style. But that is the least of my worries here. The two big things are the damage boosting spells, Exsanguinate and Insight Fear. And actually a lot of the skill in magic rotations comes from using these two spells correctly. Exsanguinate gives you stacks that increase your basic ability damage by 1% and you go up to 12 stack. And you can also use this to kind of use one ability at an extra power. That's basically it. And Insight Fear gives you stacks that makes your Tsunami, a ultimate ability, be cheaper. So you can actually get a crit buff with a lot less adrenaline than you would normally use for a crit buff. And this is one of the most powerful tools Mage has over other styles. But seriously, are you gonna be doing two different quest lines to get all of this open? Because you have to do the quest line for these extra spells and also the quest line for the ancient magics. It's gonna be crazy. Picking magic is just gonna be asinine now. And like, I don't understand why it's so late. It could be so much earlier. It doesn't break anything. I guess Animate Date can break some combat encounters, but it's leaks. Let us have fun, man. And in this tier 6 place, you could still have the other one where you get the Lunar Magic spellbook open. And this just means that there's some useful tools like Venge, you know, from old school, but the most important one is Disruption Shield. And Disruption Shield basically works like a damage reduction tool where it blocks one hit for you. And it's a really nice defensive on a 1 minute cooldown that costs you no resources to use except for the runes, but it doesn't cost you adrenaline, it doesn't cost you a GCD. It's like a really cool way to survive encounters. And here you also get all the Seren spells and prayers, which just means there's like skilling buffs, crystal mass, light form, stuff like that. With also intercept and heal order for goof content that can be used really nicely. I don't think they're as crucial as the ancient magic and the ancient spellbook. So this is like a nice upgrade and I feel like it's in a solid spot here. But just why the magic spellbook? No. And you also get the Rig of Vigor passive here, which is one of the best upgrades in the game. And this normally would take you like a whole quest line to do. I feel like it's nice because it's same for every single like combat style. And also the extra adrenaline from basics kind of fights against missing this. So I think this is a solid spot for it. It just basically refunds you 10% adrenaline when you cast an ultimate ability. So it's extra adrenaline for your rotations. Okay, let's move on the depressing spellbook thing and go into tier 7. Tier 7 is the final tier of the leagues and you go up to 16 times XP multiplier, which is kinda crazy. And this comes in combination with the drop chance increase to 6 times multiplier for the rare drops. But there is one additional reward here, which is kinda crazy. It gives you infinite access to advanced time, which means that you can do all the dailies listed here infinitely with just the cost of some runes. You will unfortunately have to runecraft these, but if you're going for some of the rewards from these dailies, this is gonna be insane for you. This also like gives you 120 farming instantly basically. Usually this is a time gated skill and you can only use this 3 times a week, but in this leagues when you hit tier 7 you can use this on repeat and that's probably gonna be really fun when going for some endgame grinds. But yeah, this spell, I can really see why it's this late. This would absolutely break the balance in the game if it was earlier. Maybe tier 6 would be fine, but yeah, this is gonna be a nice fun reward so you can boost super XP later on. And yeah, that's it. That's all the passive effects. I hope I explained them well for you if you're coming from outside the game. And if you're inside the game, if you're a RuneScape player, let me know if I missed something. Let me know if I made some mistake. Anyways, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, all that. See ya.